Fred, hello Clara, hello Coty, hello Bay, hi Albert. It's the end of June and it's a great day to be in the mountains. The sky, the light is just fantastic, and we're lucky because today is right in the middle of the Alpine flower season. The Alpine flowers come out. They come out at different times according to how high you are in the mountain, but at our sort of level they're coming out now. They're at their best. They're wildflowers, and what I'd like to do is take you up into the mountains a bit higher and show you some of the great flowers there are at the moment. And let's see, I've got a book with me, let's see if we can't identify them. It's also a fantastic opportunity for me to show you my new motorbike. There it is. And we're going to go into the mountains on my motorbike. I can't wait. Well, I stopped the motorbike on the side of the road, as you can see here. There you go, and we're up fairly high. I'd say we're about 1700 meters, just come over the Jouvert, and I've stopped here because I think this is the level at which the flowers are at their best at the moment. If you'd just like to follow me, what I'm going to do is just stop when I see something interesting, and I think straight away we've got these beautiful light blue flowers here. I'll see how close I can go in. Just look at that hand there. These are the ones I'm talking about. Blue flowers with a little yellow in the middle. And as you're looking at these, if anybody knows what they are, shout out, and then I'll look in my book later and we can see if that's what they are. So, blue flowers, just step back a bit. As I understand it, you can look at the leaves. That's quite important when identifying flowers. So there you go. I don't know what they are. So I'm back in the office now, looking at my video, and I'm going to identify the flowers as I go along. If I just take my book, Fleur des Alpes, Alpine Flowers, it interestingly sorts the flowers to help you with the identification by colour. So we first of all got the white flowers with the grey corner there. Then we've got some yellow flowers, all the yellow flowers with the yellow corner. Then we have the red flowers with the red corner. And finally, we've got the blue flowers. And this is a blue flower, so I look through it, and this is it. In French it's known as a myosotis, in English it's known as a forget-me-not, and this is an Alpine forget-me-not. And interestingly, the Alpine forget-me-not is the national flower of Alaska, the state in America. I'd like to show a couple of flowers I found in this little more shady spot. Whoops, it's a bit steep. But if I just move over here, you see that one there? That's a white one. There. What is it? How is it? This one here. Yeah. White one. So there's the flower. Here's my book, and it's a white flower, so it should be at this end of the book. But in fact, when I look through the book, I can't find a white flower that corresponds to it. So I had to go and have a look on the internet and ask Google, and it told me that this is the flower of a wild strawberry. So that's what we're looking at, the flower of a wild strawberry. amongst the other flowers, I've spotted this unusual one. Can you see that? Can you see that there? There. Now, somebody said to me that that was an orchid. Orchid's a very famous, rare plant, and that this is a wild orchid. I could be talking rubbish. So, is it an orchid? Well, I found nothing which is identical to it in my various books, but I have found two orchids, and their petal shape is very similar. In this particular book, at the back of the book, there's a description of different shapes of petals, and this one here is the particular shape of an orchid. And if you look carefully, you see how it says fleur d'orchidée. If you look carefully, you can see it's got the same shape as the flower that we are looking at. So for me, that's a blue orchid. This one here, that one. Now, it's got, when you look at it you think, it's just a bit tedious that, but when you look at it closely, it's got the most beautiful little tiny flowers. I hope you can see them. Now, I have no idea what this is called, but in my head somewhere, there's a word that comes out, and the word is cowslip. But then I heard somebody else saying it was something to do with lace. I'm not sure what it is. I've looked in the books, but they're not absolutely what I think. So I've looked on the internet, and it seems to me that I wasn't that far off, because it's actually a thing which is called cow parsley. To show you this one here. It's got a very plain leaf there, and it's got these purpley red flowers with, I think those are called stamen, aren't they? I'm not sure. That thing, those white things. And you can see where it's come out of. The flower has come out of this little pod here. Well, this one was a bit tricky. I started off by thinking, as somebody had told me, that it was a form of wild geranium. But looking at it carefully, the leaves, wild geranium leaves don't look like that. And geranium flowers, although they're a similar colour, they don't have these split petals. They have just 5 normal petals. So it's not a wild geranium. Looked a bit further, and I found that in fact it is called a red campion, or a campion rouge in French. What's that great big thing there? Looks like some extraterrestrial being. It's huge. Not sure it's a flower. It's a monster.
Well, our special word this week is a noun, and the word is palindrome. Now, I'm sure you all know what a noun is. A noun is a naming word, and there are different sorts of nouns. There are proper nouns, like the names of people, like Katie and Laura. But this is what we call a common noun. So it's just an ordinary thing, like a glass or a table, or an animal with 4 legs that barks a lot, which we call a dog. Palindrome, when you read it, you can read it forwards and backwards, and it says the same thing, whichever way you read it. So, for example, we have this word, noon. N-O-O-N. But if we read it backwards, N-O-O-N, it says the same thing. We can use numbers as well. Here we have 1991, which reads 1991. That was the year before we came to live in France as a family. And backwards, 1991. It's the same. Kayak is another one. K-A-Y-A-K. K-A-Y-A-K. Now it gets actually more interesting when we have entire sentences which we can read the same way forwards and backwards. And here we have one. Was it a car or a cat I saw? And now I'm going to just change the spaces so we can read it backwards. Was it a car or a cat I saw? Now some authors will use a palindrome to name their main characters, and they often don't tell us they're doing this, so we have to work it out for ourselves. One that you might know is from the book Holes by Louis Sachar. The main character is called Stanley Yelnaps. And if we look at this forwards, Stanley Yelnaps, and then we look at it backwards, Stanley Yelnaps. It's a palindrome. So the quiz this week is for you to find me a palindrome that's funny or that's interesting. You can make it up, or you can find it on the internet, and we'll see which ones we come up with.